everybody to Child Protection Party TV. This is a new thing that we're trying to do in order to get more people attracted to the party and to talk about things that we believe you may be interested in that aren't specifically about child protection. So we have a range of different people we'll be inviting in to have a conversation with us about their lives and things that interest them. And today though, I have a very special guest, someone who's particularly, how can I put it, I'm relatively fond of, someone who I admire, someone who is extremely good looking and extremely intelligent and represents his father in all of those categories. And that's my son, Casey.
I don't know how comfortable I feel about that introduction.
Oh yeah? That was a pretty good introduction.
I guess so. It did.
Was it over the top?
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay, well I take back everything that I've said.
Don't know if I can live up to it is the problem.
Oh, okay. I think you'll find a way. So I thought we'd have a conversation with Case about some of the work that he does. So perhaps you could just give us sort of a quick overview of your profession perhaps and the type of work that you do.
I read news stories and then rewrite them in my own words.
Isn't that fabulous?
Is that what you mean?
Well, you might. Well, I guess that's a fancy way of saying you're a journalist, mate.
Yeah. So why weren't you schooling in Adelaide?
Because I was sick of the school that I went to, which was Croydon Tech at the time. The kids were too busy beating up the teachers for it to be really a place whereby I learn or gain anything from it. So, and I was also in the lowest possible class. I wasn't enjoying school at all, and I saw an opportunity to go to a school interstate. There was a boarding school, and parents said, "Yeah."
So you had.
There I go. I went.
But you put it to them that you would go.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You asked to go. Huh. How'd you find out about the boarding school?
Because I remember it was yesterday. Mum and Dad had a brochure sitting next to their bed, and I even know now. I still remember who the people were at the front of that brochure, like by the name of Greg Hart, and Worrell. What's her name?
Worrell.
Well, she was the daughter of what was eventually the principal of the school, actually.
How many people are named Worrell?
Don't know, but they were.
It's a funny name.
And Joanna Worrell was her name. She's only a little kid.
No, her first name wasn't Worrell.
No, second name.
That makes sense.
Joanna Worrell.
Her name was Worrell.
Was her name.
Like
so
Warren.
Anybody there from that school who remembers, that's fine. Anyway, I can remember who they were, and and so we went and we had a look at the school, and I thought it'd be fun thing to do, and I at least felt it would be safer than where I was. And the parents, dipped into whatever little cash they had and spent and sent me to the second most expensive school in Australia, actually, as it turned out.
Look at you self-determining early on, making some decisions about your own future. That's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever done that.
I had no idea though. It was just a whimsical. I don't think I really sat down and thought how unsafe or whatever it was that I was in the school I was at. I was definitely unsafe because there's lots of fighting and stuff going on. But
Like fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Like old-timey kind of fights
with
where
teachers.
Why were they fighting teachers?
Well, there's one particular instance where a bloke by the name of Presley, believe it or not, beat up a teacher whose name was Schultz. I remember these people. And he was a little guy, the teacher, and he had to go at Presley, and Presley said, "Oh, fuck you, whatever," and came at him, and he went to grab his ear, that's right. And then they started to wrestle, and we pushed back all the chairs at the tables and created a space for them so that they could do their thing.
Yeah,
we were very thoughtful. And then I can remember this guy, Presley, who was, like the jock in the school. He got suspended from sports for one day for having a fight with a teacher. I think nowadays if you fought with a teacher, you'd probably be up for assault to start with, and you'd probably be locked up somewhere.
Well, the teacher wouldn't be doing too well either if they've had a
blue
with a student.
They brought in this other teacher who was so he was replaced, and our form teacher became this guy who was it was a Mr. Junior Universe. So he was built like you wouldn't believe it. Like he could pick up 400 pounds, and he did pick up 400 pounds and dropped it through the floor in the gym at school. And the first thing he ever said to us was, if I ever get trouble from any of you guys, I'll just pick you up and throw you through the back wall. And we believed him. So
Yep.
we were all very, very good to him at that point. We were very well behaved. No more fights. Because he was bigger than the rest of us.
So is that like the solution to violence? Is you just have the biggest person,
Seemed to be in those
biggest
days.
biggest stick politics, right? Whoever's strongest controls the room.
Yeah. And then there are a couple of other instances where I got the cane because we had. This is all in the same year.
Where do they give you the cane? On the
Across
knuckles?
your hands. No, you had to hold your hands.
Hands up like this,
Yeah,
and they're
hands
just
up like that. Yeah. So
with a ruler, is it, or just a piece of wood?
It was a
Thick piece of wood?
cane.
Piece of cane.
Sorry, your foot is really distracting. It's like right in the foreground. Sorry.
Does it look like a big foot?
Yeah, it looks huge. Sorry to interrupt, but it's really distracting. It's like waving around.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Sam, for letting us know.
All good. Sorry, go on.
So there was a group of us who used to look after. Remember, this is the lowest grade in the school. This is where the no-hopers were. This is where the guys from the local residential care facility went. These are the sort of blokes that I was hanging around with at the time. Anyway, not willingly, just that I was placed in that grade.
Did you know that they were from residential care?
Yeah. I remember some of the guys used to tell you.
So what do you mean when they were from
Well, they were in
residential
foster
care?
They were
care.
in foster care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't know what it was back in those days, of
Do
course.
you remember any of the boys?
Yeah, I do actually. I remember one of them quite well.
Who?
Yeah. I can't
You don't have to give a name. What
No,
about?
there's no
What do you
name.
remember about him?
I remember he was just tough as hell. He was smoking. He was.
How old
hanging
was he
around with
smoking?
shit out the back. He would have been 13 or 14. 14 he would have been,
Bizarre.
I guess.
Mm.
And anyway, so we used to look after what they was called the Coke. Oh, what they call it? Coke canteen. So it was a place where kids could come and you could buy Coke.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
And anyway, some money went missing. Well, I had nothing to do with it. I certainly wouldn't have taken the money. Clearly someone else did, or it got lost or whatever. So the headmaster calls us over and just, rather than trying to figure out who it was, just decided to cane us all.
That's easy. How many of you got it?
4 or 5.
Were you standing outside? What was the setting?
So standing in his office. I still remember.
In his
standing
office.
and,
Big dude?
push out the cane. Yeah, his name was Mr. Richards. I can remember all of that.
Mr. Richards
Mr. Richards. And he
pulls
canes
out
us.
the cane, gets you all to stand there.
Yeah.
Whack, whack. One whack?
3, I think it was.
3 whacks on the hand. On,
Yeah, on the
like,
very tips of your fingers.
very
it
tips
was.
of your finger. Like, so both hands out
Yeah.
and hits
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
Ouch.
And I felt, what a great sense of injustice that was. I hadn't done anything wrong. Why should I be punished?
But you just got a hit on the hands.
But it hurt.
Yeah, it
What's
does.
that? And it's humiliating. Being pulled out of your class and that's come there and everybody knows what's going on, and it's just humiliating. So, and there was another time, which was actually the year before I got put in this class, where I was drawing. Have I told you this story before? So this is the year before.
What were you drawing?
I was drawing a map of Australia. So you know how you colour in. So each colouring in the states.
Okay.
Right? Different colours.
Were the states different back then when you were in
Oh, they
school?
were much different. Actually, Australia looked different. It was a little bit.
It was connected
We said
to other
the water
continents,
hadn't
wasn't
come-
it? Yeah.
Yeah, we hadn't been surrounded by water back then. We were still connected to Indonesia. Used to be able to hike all the way up to Malaysia.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
Tasmania had
Tasmania was still there. Then there were the freaking dinosaurs. That was
Dinosaurs
so
going around.
traverse
Yeah, that's
everything.
tough.
Yeah. So so I was colouring it in, and this guy's name was McPherson. All right, and there's quite a story about McPherson.
What's the story about McPherson?
Well, this continues on from here. So,
Uh-huh.
and I was colouring, and while I was colouring them, I was kind of humming. Just humming, or whatever. I think, yeah, just humming.
Hmm.
And so, because I was humming, he pulled me out the front of the room. And in those days, you used to have a yardstick, which is a stick that was a yard long, and it
Sure.
was that thick.
What, for measuring purposes?
Yeah, for measuring on the board. What they used to have blackboards in those days, so measuring stuff on blackboards, drawing lines,
Yep.
that sort of stuff.
Fair enough.
So he pulled me out the stuff and he beat the shit out of my leg.
With the yardstick?
Yeah.
You just whacked your leg for humming.
Yeah, over and over again.
How many times?
Like 10, 20 times.
What?
I had bruises up and down my leg.
That's crazy.
So I went home, told my parents,
Yeah, fair enough.
right? And they did come down to the school though. And
With their yardsticks?
Oh,
and they had like
no,
a
not
like
my
a fight?
parents, not my parents, I wish they had.
That would have been great.
Yeah, yeah. But I know they went down to school. They never talked to me about it. They never told me what they did. I just knew somehow that they'd gone down to the school. They must have probably said to me, they're going, I'll follow that one.
Maybe they did have the yardsticks. Maybe they did go in and start hitting him with
Well,
the cane. Like a pinata.
It was that after that year, I was placed in the lowest class in the school, the dummies class. But the story was, years later, I was so with my first wife, Kathy. We were at a school because my brother-in-law then was a school teacher, and so we were at this school to pick him up for some particular reason. Anyway, sitting in the doorway was freaking McPherson. So McPherson, the guy that beat me up, was still in that school, was at that same school as what my brother-in-law was. And it was one of those rare moments where I've never ever hit anybody, ever. But now I was 23, 24. I just wanted to get out of the car and just go over and thump the shit out of this guy.
But you didn't.
No, I didn't. Of course I didn't. But I had that depth, that urge, that hatred for this man. for what he did
Revenge.
to me. Yeah, yeah.
He's probably dead now.
I hope so. I hope it was a really unhappy death.
So
Yeah, he abused me for humming, for Christ's sake.
Mm.
What was his issue? I think that's why a lot of the things that, I often don't talk about these things, as you know, but the sense of injustice that I feel that this happens to my clients, I think it has a root in some of this stuff that happened to me when I was a kid.
Right.
Because I don't want those things to happen to other people. It is humiliating to not be believed, as was the case when they caned me, for being physically assaulted for just humming, and people that have or believe that they need to have that sort of control over another person, it just gets my ire up and I just get very, very angry. And I think I often feel sad for clients because I know, I didn't grow up in an abusive family or whatever. The abuse that I experienced was elsewhere, and it was at school. That's the reason why I chose to go to another school, because I needed to escape. My parents knew about some of this stuff, but they didn't know how I felt about it because I didn't know how to articulate it back then. So I guess the only thing I thought I could do was to look for another school to go to.
Was there any caning at Hunting Tower?
No, there was. There was a time where Griffiths got into trouble. My first year there, Griffiths got into trouble, and Ben Mather, the headmaster, he was known for using a table tennis bat.
Okay.
We never ever saw him use it. It was the thought. It was the thought that he could have used it that scared us more than anything. And he got us there, and he sat us. He sat. We stood in front of him. He told us that we were naughty kids, or we shouldn't have done whatever it was that we did, and we were grounded for a week. But that was the extent of it. And the thing about the school I went to was that there was a wonderful respect for differences. The people that were
Different.
not physically different, or there were kids that had trouble running at sport, and we would support them and shout them on and cheer them on, and there were kids that had intellectual challenges, and not once did we label them or say that they weren't able to. So everybody was ever told, oh, I was poor academically, but I was never made to feel like I was an idiot or stupid.
What was it about the school that encouraged that?
Well, it was they had a particular religious philosophy, I guess.
A particular religious philosophy.
Well, they didn't. They
Just A1.
didn't necessarily see people as the deficits. They saw positives in most things.
That's nice. How did they do that? How were they deluded into thinking that everything was positive?
Well, they weren't deluded into thinking everything was positive. They just had a positive attitude towards most things.
Right.
And particularly the kids.
What were they on?
Not limiting them, for example.
That seems so strange. So they were just positive about everything.
No, they weren't positive about everything, because when we got into trouble, we got into trouble, of which we did quite regularly at that school. But we weren't treated badly. We were treated with respect.
With respect. That's nice.
Yeah, no matter who we were, and no matter what the kids were. I mean, and we were, as kids, didn't often treat people with respect. You know, we used to dub them and, stick their heads in toilet bowls.
Dub them?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
That's where you stick a kid's head in the toilet bowl.
That's
We do that to the ticks.
Did
So
you
we
do
used to
that?
call people ticks, which were the juniors. You know.
So you have memories of taking a
I have
kid's head.
memories.
You've stuffed a kid's head in a toilet bowl.
Yeah, I mean, his name was Greg Williams, and I wish I could apologise.
And you flushed?
Yeah.
Hey, Maya.
Yeah. So there we go.
So you were someone's bully.
Once I did it, and I always regretted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only once.
What did someone pressure you into bullying?
No, we used to do other strange things too. Like we used to short shit kids' beds. You know, that was just kind of a thing.
That's
did.
such a funny prank.
Yeah.
So you would make someone else's bed with shorter sheets.
Yeah, you
so
fold
their
the
toes.
sheets over so that they'd fit in.
It's,
Yeah,
it's so lame. It's such a lame. Oh, your feet are going to be a bit cold.
Oh, no, there was for sugar and flour in there as well.
In the bed?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful. Why would you do that? That's so mean.
There's a lot of silly stuff, you know. There's the time the girls up, because the girls were above us in the boarding house, and the guys were downstairs, and I used to get a lot of joy out of telling other people from other schools that the girls used to sleep on top of us. I used to love that idea. But then one day, kids dropped an effigy of a guy from the window on a noose around its neck, in front of a guy's window in front. And we had to go into this guy's dormitory room and retrieve him from underneath the bed. He was
Oh no!
petrified.
So you thought he'd seen someone
It's a
hang
hang,
themselves?
The girls did it upstairs.
That's hijinks. That's some
Well, we used to get up.
Animal House sort of stuff, isn't it?
We used to get up to all sorts of mischief. So, and it was fun. A lot of the stuff was pretty harmless that we do. You know, the day some guys broke into the school, and who were the guys from the year before, and they hoisted this woman's bras up on the flagpole.
Seems like the kind of thing you wouldn't have at a school where kids are getting hit on the knuckles, though, huh?
No,
We'll stop them doing that pretty quick.
no, we did get banned. Had to have a weekend inside until someone owned up. But then somebody realised it wasn't any of us in the boarding house. It was someone came in from outside the school and took something off the clothesline and hung it up on the
Hoisted it up.
stuff. It was a very large bra. And we all knew whose it was.
Mm.
Oh, we did some crazy stuff.
So I know that it wasn't until 2008 before South Australian legislation banned physical violence against children in schools, but the practice had gone. So Casey, did you ever experience caning or any sort of physical violence?
No, I reckon we had in one class like a paddle up against above a door, maybe. It's just a relic from a past era, but never. No, it would be odd. I can't
And
think
that's
So you
of
didn't
it.
ever experience
three
it?
state school, three state schools
Yeah.
that you were in. And
Nothing
it was
even close.
nothing.
No, and I haven't heard any stories of anybody copying anything either. No, that had well and truly gone out of practice.
So they were able to maintain discipline without that. That's what that means.
Yeah, I think the thing is that it just changes form, right? So it goes from being, possibly something overtly physical, it just changes shape in different ways, right? It doesn't mean it's gone. It's
What do you mean?
because it's about control, isn't it?
Yeah, so
Controlling
how do they
people.
control you instead?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't know how we were controlled. The uniforms were always a big part of maintaining control, and something that if you tried to push too far would stop you. I mean, Trinity was pretty lax on that
You used
kind
to-
of stuff
you used to
anyway.
shoot out a lot, didn't you?
Yeah, I always got in a bit of
Push the
trouble
boundaries a wee
for.
bit.
Yeah, I think I got in trouble once. I walked up trying to hand in an assignment. I didn't have shoes on, and he's like, "You go back, put your shoes on." But then you can come up and hand it up, which is fair enough. I probably didn't need to not have shoes on.
Did you take your shoes off specifically because?
No,
you
it was
were
just
doing
more
that?
comfortable.
Oh, right, fair enough.
I was trying to be comfortable, you know.
Parents couldn't afford to buy you shoes.
I had
You-
shoes,
oh,
you smart ass.
Okay.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I'm
well-
still interested in that question of control and how that was. So uniforms was one part. It reminded me of Foucault and the whole idea of self-regulation when society moves away from force. You learn how to regulate yourself in some way.
I think they were just good at taking kids out because there was never a problem that the school didn't have any students or customers because they're customers, right? Well, the parents are the customers. There was, there enough of a waiting list that they could just take people out who were troublesome, and certainly they had pathways that led out of the school. So they would aim certain kids on a trajectory that meant that for like years 11 and 12 they just wouldn't be there. Yeah, for sure. So that was the vet thing, right? The idea was, okay, we recognise you're probably not going to be around or performing in like year 12, so we'll just send you in another direction and go. And we had troublesome kids who were just asked to leave. It was that kind of thing where they wanted to work you out and sort of squeeze you out of the system a bit, not mould you into anything. They would just take the ones they didn't want and fuck them off elsewhere. But there wasn't, as far as discipline goes, there's probably more yelling and stuff.
Different from a public school system where you can't very well do that, I guess.
No, but even there, what was the discipline at Salisbury East? It was like an isolation room. So you would get, if you were pissing about, they would get you to, hello cat, they would get you to go off to the focus room where you would have to just sit. It was a detention room in the middle of, that was always just active, where you would be sent to just
Focus.
But then it was the idea was not come up to the front and we'll humiliate you. It was just leave. We don't want you in this space. And then they weren't willing to manage, I guess. It was about avoiding having to have any conflict or
Well, manage the
that kind of
behaviour.
thing. Yeah, the behaviour was just moved.
And they still don't. I don't understand today why they exclude kids from school. Kids don't want to go to school. Oh my God, I'm excluded from school. That's a severe punishment for which they're delighted about.
Yeah, that seems funny to me. I don't know what else you can do because
Forget what the problem is, I think. I've got someone I work with whose son just doesn't go to school. Just, 13, 14-year-old, just doesn't go to school. And partners send out letters and tell the parent he has to go to school, and he still chooses not to go to school, and he doesn't. So I guess if a kid chooses not to go to school, that's just the way it is. They don't go to school. They become uneducated.
But at what point do they get to choose their own life, though, right?
Well, I guess they're choosing their own life at that point. They choose not to go to school, aren't they?
Hmm.
Really?
Should they be forced to go to school?
Made
Made to go to school?
Encouraged to go to school.
Encouraged to go to school?
I think being forced is a bit difficult when they're older. 13 on to make up those decisions themselves, I guess. But maybe we should find ways to make school a bit more interesting. Anyway.
Like this conversation.
What?
Would this make people more interested if we had cameras everywhere and
We do.
monitoring them?
There's an incredible setup that your father's put together here.
So it is interesting, the idea that control is still there. It's just physical violence has gone in schools, but control.
So they wouldn't have.
Children are still being maintained.
Yeah, because it has to be because that's where they're taking care of them. It's just at a different form. They just move them out of the space and someone else then deals with it, I suppose. Shuffles it on rather than because it's quite a deliberate, violent, done here and now kind of act to get someone up because that will change your it isn't about disrupting how your brain's thinking then and there. If you're laughing and having fun or doing something that they think is disruptive, then they either take you out of that space or they whack you on the knuckles and everything will settle down. It's like a big snap.
Yeah, but what they don't realise is that we learn 700% more stuff when we're laughing, enjoying ourselves and feeling happy.
Right. But
So
if
as
you
soon as they interrupt, so even though it may appear, so I guess the problem with education is that they don't make it fun enough often for kids to want to be a party to it
yeah, right.
somehow. I don't know what the answer is. I'm not an educationist, but we do learn much more we retain much more when we're feeling happy and laughing.
Yeah, that's probably fair enough. It sounds like you've remembered something pretty clearly, though, from a negative experience as well.
Yeah, because we do also remember traumas. We do remember negative shit that's happened to us in detail. I'm surprised that, some 50 odd years later I can still remember the names and the events.
But that shows that you haven't gotten over that.
Well, because I've remembered it doesn't mean I haven't gotten over it.
Do you still have an emotional response to
I
it?
still feel emotional when I talk about it. It doesn't mean I haven't gotten over it. Going over it is about not understanding it, not being able to understand where it kind of sits in your life and how it's influenced your life. I think I've understood that, where it fits. I know that a lot of that stuff has driven me to do the things that I do now.
You still get angry about it.
I do.
Yeah, interesting.
Nothing wrong with having the emotions still there.
Really? Even if it's attached to something long in the
It
past?
doesn't matter, no, the emotions fine. Emotions inform us about how we are and who we are and where we've come from and what's important for us and what's likely to happen in the future even. That's what emotions do.
Okay.
So you don't want to get rid of the emotion, you just want to understand it. I don't know what you're going to think of this video, but we'd be really interested in any feedback that you have. It's a lot, unfortunately, about me, but it is an interview I'm doing with my son. And it wasn't meant to be about me at all, but that's just the way it turned out. I hope you enjoy it and give us some appropriate feedback. Thanks for watching.